Welcome to Empire Building. I'm Wendy Papasan, and together with my 4 co-hosts, we bring you weekly unfiltered conversations about leadership, growing a big empire, and living on your own terms.
I'm Kimber Leviman-Keaty. We are investors and wealth builders with over $75 million in combined net worth.
I'm Sarah Reynolds. We are visionaries who built more than 50 businesses with over $122 million in annual revenue.
I'm Tiffany Fikes. We've led thousands of people and do it all while being pretty good moms.
And I'm Seychelle Van Poel. We are your podcast to learn how to build big businesses and even bigger lives.
Hello, our beautiful listeners, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Empire Building Podcast. I'm your co-host, Wendy Papasan, and I'm here with the beautiful and talented Seychelle Van Poel Engelhard. Hello, my dear. How are you today?
I'm so good. I got my hair done this week. I went and saw my laser facial girl a week ago. Like, I have a couple times a year that it's like you just do all the like self-care, and it just is awesome.
What do you do in the summer? Are you going up to Michigan or?
Yeah, we're going to go up to northern Michigan near Traverse City with my best friend, Mayor Pete. And Quinn has a camp that's awesome. That's like, they're on 35 acres with a lake and magic. And so she's going to go do that. And then we work from up there. And this will tie into our episode today, but we just bought a property with a cottage on it and 24 storage units.
Well, I didn't know there was a house on it.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a house on it too. And we're turning it, it's a short-term rental right now. And we're turning it into affordable year-round housing because there's a housing shortage in northern Michigan. And we already have it leased out. And we just closed like a week and a half ago.
Do you have a name for the storage? I'm just curious.
Yes. It is going to be called, so in Michigan, you know, like if you hold up the hand, it looks like a mitten. And so it's called Mitten Self-Storage. So we can expand it all over the state.
So cute.
That's our goal. Yeah. So I'm learning all things self-storage right now, which is really fun.
Well, that's so on point for our episode today, which is going to be, we're going to be talking about money. Seychelle and I love to talk about money.
I love talking about money
together. I think probably, I'm not sure. Aside from my husband, I probably had more money conversations with you probably than anybody else over the years. And
yeah,
we always track. I feel like,
yeah,
you know, kind of in our personal lives, in our businesses, we track kind of the same.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be talking, and we've, known each other for, I think, 17 years now, probably since I started.
Yeah. Jay and I have known each other 22.
Yeah.
And then I met you a couple years in. Yeah.
Well, so today we're going to be talking about where should you be with your money, right? Where should you be with your money and wealth? And then we've got 5 questions to help you find out the answer to that. So that's what we're going to be doing a deep dive into today. Money and wealth have seasons, just like we have seasons with our marriages, seasons with our children, seasons with our work lives. We've got toddlers, school-age kids, college, and then empty nests, right?
Yeah.
And our wealth and our finances have seasons as well. So we're going to be walking you guys through that and helping ask yourself the question, where am I now? Where do I need to be?
I love that. Well, and Wendy and I both have similar beginnings to our money story, which is we began with no money. In our stories, right? Like,
yeah,
we had, we returned all of our wedding gifts to buy our first rental property. Like, it was not.
I didn't, but you did.
I did, yeah. You guys bought your first house and turned it into a rental. Like, yeah. My point is like, we were not like gifted millions of dollars to like start investing. No, I didn't have like a sugar daddy or mama that was like, hi, come, invest all of my money. Like, we had to figure this out.
Yeah.
As with you and Jay, with Nick and myself, like we had to figure this out being scrappy at the beginning. And we had very little extra cash between each of our relationships, right, to just go build wealth. And so you trade little amounts of money for lots of time to let that property, we both chose real estate, right? To buy rentals, you have very little money down when you have not a lot to put together. You're scraping money together to buy a property, and then you have to play the gift of time.
The long game.
And hope appreciation is along there with you to make that money grow. And then one day you wake up and you're like, okay, I've given it a lot of time. And now all of a sudden, the money isn't necessarily doing what I need it to do, or the properties are different than what I need them to do. And so you have to, like, am I still on the path I set out to be, or do I need to be doing something different? And so some of these questions, like, you may be hearing this today and you're like, I know what I'm doing. I'm on the path. Guess what? we were too, and it was working well, but maybe not as well as it could be. So if you're already on a wealth building journey, this might force you to like think a little differently about the direction you're going. And if you're new into the wealth building journey, these are freaking awesome scenarios and questions for you that I wish I had asked when I first set out to invest. So no matter where you are, I think it can help you in getting to the next phase.
I love that. I think the first one is asking yourself, what outcomes am I actually trying to create with my money? Like, what do I want? Both Seychelle and I think at the beginning were like, we were relative, you were super young.
Yeah, I was 22.
I was relatively young. I was in my mid 30s when I started investing. And I always have, for whatever reason, the way my brain works, I've always been able to play the long game. And that's such a gift. I can remember having a conversation with a friend of mine. His name's Tarl Yarber. And he was telling me that his first job, he flipped over 300 homes and didn't keep a single one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's like, Wendy, I have nothing to show for that. I have nothing to show for it.
Wow.
And he said, that's because I worked for someone. That's what they did. Right. So that was, who you surround yourself with is literally everything. And I said, that's so interesting. And at the time we probably had 12 houses. And I said, that's so interesting because, we did some flipping, but right away we realized like, that's not really the way to go for us. And so we just bought things and held on to them. And, I think that's a lot of because of our mentorship from Gary Keller. That's Gary Keller's motto, buy and hold. And if you can play the long game, if you start early enough and you can play the long game, it is going to be very successful, until it maybe isn't, right? So that's where we all started. So I think, the outcome that I was trying to create with the money was knowing I'm in it for the long game. Some of the outcomes were I didn't need a lot of monthly cash flow. We were young. Our careers were building. We did want long-term appreciation. That was
correct.
That was us because we started tracking our net worth and we decided that net worth was more important than income.
Same.
At the very beginning.
And
yeah.
I think the other part to that too is we also were willing to let the debt pay itself down. So we put less down because I knew, okay, this is a 15-year play, 20-year play. Like I'm going to let the debt do its job and letting somebody else pay it off. So appreciation, because like Dallas at that point was only appreciating 3 to 5% a year. So it was like, it might be worth 50% more in 10 years, maybe like on a good year. So we had to bank on the debt pay down.
But I think that is the statistic I read. I think Jay's told me that nationwide, your property should double in value over the course of 11 years. I think. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to get clarity on that.
That would be awesome, right? But like ours was like half that, basically.
No, that's normal. 3 to 5%, that's normal. That's average.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the United States. It's definitely more in Austin.
Yeah.
But I know for us, like one of the outcomes that we wanted to get was not necessarily reducing our taxes at the time because we didn't have a lot of taxes. But I know that you've helped high net worth individuals and I've helped high net worth individual. That was a main driver for buying real estate. And sometimes people even are looking for a loss, on what they're doing. Yeah. Are you wanting to build wealth for your family, legacy wealth? Is that important to you?
Or cash flow? Like some people are investing for cash flow. And so I think to Wendy's point, it's a great question, right? What outcome am I trying to get with this money will help you decide what vehicle you need to be choosing to jump in and get going or to switch to, which I think is great. The second question you want to ask is, what risk am I willing to take? Most people think risk could mean, could I lose money? But there's actually a lot of different type of risks. And unfortunately for me, we've encountered most of these. It could be volatility risk, like you're getting into a high risk market. I've invested in a cricket flower company. Did that go well? No, it did not.
Wait, let's stop there. I know you've done this. Okay, I know this about you. You don't talk about it that much, but how did you get into that? Let's just take a breather here.
Okay, so this is a good thing on risk. The risk I took was I invested in somebody that had subject matter knowledge.
Cricket flower expert?
Cricket flower, they were. And it was that actually the government needs it because it's a shelf-stable product that is high protein. So for military bases and stuff like that, I learned way more about cricket flower than I bet any of our listeners want to know.
This is going to help you when the zombies come. You know that. This little bit of knowledge. You've never mentioned this to our group.
This is true. This should raise me up on our apocalypse list.
Yes, it should.
Cricket flower is very high protein. And we had chipped chips and all sorts of products that were like chef created. Anyways,
When was that? What year?
this is like the don't go investing in a bunch of stuff when you're pregnant mode. This is because you just think everything is a good idea when you're pregnant. We invested in so many stupid things when I was pregnant, and this is one of them.
I do remember when you were in that phase.
Everything was an opportunity, and
Yeah.
it should not have been everything was an opportunity. But what I will say is it was a personal relationship we had. We invested $50,000 and we got $0 back. And that was a huge bummer because it also impacted the personal relationship.
Did you get any cricket flour
I
out of
got
it?
like a bag of chips
Couple of
or
bags?
something. Yeah, like literally, it was like all that in a bag of chips. And I mean, I could list for you like a half a dozen stupid things like that we did. But here's what I will say is I learned a lot.
We had that meat company.
We did have, that was profitable.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also had one of the highest end meat curing companies in all of Dallas. Super normal. That was a risk that was more calculated.
Yeah.
But the question is like, what type of risk? We learned that the one thing that we now know in investing is I'm not going to invest in something unless I have subject matter knowledge to sniff out like the BS test. That is now a risk that I know I have to know. And the second part is like I want to know that my personal initial investment is going to be either guaranteed or personally promissory noted and backed up. And so you learn by failing forward what risk you're willing to take and what risk you're not. So some of the risk you could think about would be like market volatility or market readiness, which the market was not ready for cricket flour. Another one could be liquidity risk. Maybe you're putting too much of your cash out there and it's getting locked up. And then all of a sudden your other businesses need cash and you can't get access to it. Okay. That can be a huge way. We've seen a ton of friends go down that way just by not having enough liquidity when all their businesses hit a challenge at the same time. Another risk could be like concentration risk. Maybe you have too much of your money in one thing and then a market like real estate shifts and all of a sudden all your eggs are in one basket. It could be operator risk. Definitely have had that one where you choose the wrong person to run your business.
Yeah, I know who that is.
That one. Yeah, they're officially don't have a real estate license in the state of Texas anymore because of that. They're
no surprise
lifetime banned. Yeah, y'all, I'm telling you, I've literally done every single one of these.
Seychelle's got it all. And you know what? I'm actually, of course, I'm doing a little deep dive into cricket flour right here, not to like derail this really important podcast about money, but ChatGPT is telling me that it's pretty much going mainstream now.
I know, we were like 10 years too early.
200 million. Yeah, well, no, it says literally early adoption, 2010.
Yeah, we were 2013.
Yeah, 2010 to 2015.
Yeah, we were just 10 years too early.
Yeah.
The world was not ready for high-end Thai crickets yet. Thailand has the best crickets, just in case you guys want to know.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna ask why.
Just trust me.
I'm not gonna ask why. I'm not gonna ask why. Okay. So that's all the kinds of risks. So you're asking yourself that question, what type of risk am I willing to take? And if you're in a partnership with your money, you got somebody else, like you're asking probably your partner, what are they willing to take? You're having those conversations.
That's a huge nugget you just dropped right there.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, you and your partner are not on the same page with what level of risk you're willing to take.
Yeah.
So be very intentional about that conversation. That's so good, Wendy.
Yeah.
So good.
All right. And then the third question you're asking yourself, well, what's my unfair advantage? What do I know that nobody else knows? Like perhaps I'm a cricket flour expert. I don't know.
Or you're not.
Or you're not. Yeah. Yeah. So wealth compounds faster when you have better access, right? So if you're in real estate, you're going to have better access to deals. You're going to have better access to lending. You're going to have better access to other people who know what they're talking about, better relationships, right? Is your skill, you've got more like operational skills in one particular area. Are you able to recognize patterns? That's kind of huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of huge. Are you able to see the ups and downs? Like, have you been in the real estate market long enough to know that what goes up must come down, or areas of town, let's say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything like that.
Yeah. Or maybe you've done like a service-related business before, and so you understand the swings of a service-related business. Or maybe you've dealt with consulting before and you understand like whatever your subject matter expertise is, leaning in to do more of that will net you faster wealth and money than doing what I did, which is going way outside your expertise into things like cricket flour, high-end meat curing, or other things, which served almost as a distraction because then I had to slow down to learn a ton about those, which I now know. But was that profitable? No, that was not like
No.
the most profitable use of my time. If I had just bought more investment properties instead, we would be further along in our wealth journey.
Also, realistically, the way you learn the most is you fail your way to success.
Yeah.
And if you fail in one industry and then you move to another industry without taking those lessons you learned from that first industry, you're really doing yourself a huge disservice and you're losing a lot of money along the way. So,
Agreed.
most fortunes are built through concentration in an area of expertise before diversification. So, part of the reason we are so wealthy is, Jay and I are both experts in the real estate space. He's been doing it for 26 years. I'm on my 20 plus years as a real estate investor. I mean, I know what I'm doing now.
Amazing.
It doesn't mean I'm a total subject matter expert, but I've certainly failed my way forward through it.
You've got a really good sniff test now.
Yeah.
I think that's the key is like you and I can look at a real estate deal on a sheet of paper and look at the map area of it and know immediately if it's going to be a good deal or not. Like 5 minutes maybe.
Yeah. Well, I can remember I talked to a prospective lender that I was interviewing to work with me on my team. And I asked him if he'd ever done any real estate investing because we do a lot of that on our team. So having a lender partner who understands investing, has worked with investors, is an investor themselves. So I point blank asked this guy, I said, hey, have you ever done any real estate investing? And he said, yeah, I had an investment property once, but we had a really bad tenant. So then I sold it. And I said, well, did you, what then? He's like, no, that was it. We learned our lesson. And I just thought,
That's not the lesson.
no, that's not the lesson. That's not the kind of person I want to be in business with. So obviously we did not get together.
I think that's a great example, though, of like when that happens, you don't have all the answers today when something like that happens. But if you put off asking the questions that got you into that problem with the bad tenant, you have a problem because you're stopping yourself from growth. And that's really what happened is he ran into a problem, didn't ask any further questions beyond like that wasn't fun, and then stopped himself probably from massive amounts of wealth because he didn't go deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So smart.
Which can happen.
Yep.
It can happen. There's no judgment around it. It's more just push to the other side of that.
Yeah.
One thing that's easy when you're younger in your career and maybe you don't have kids yet or maybe you're single or whatever is you probably have a lot of time. And so the question you want to ask, depending on which journey you're on, is like, how much time do I want to spend? How involved do I want to be in this investment? Like when we were younger, I'm like, I have all the time in the world. We can learn how to flip houses. We can learn how to do rentals. We can learn how to buy and build businesses. We built up a CRM company and sold it off, right? Like, yeah, I got all the time in the world. As you have young kids, that time shrinks exponentially. As you're taking care of aging parents, that time shrinks exponentially. And then you hit another season, like you were just talking about being an empty nester, and your time opens back up again. And so how much time are you willing to give and how involved do you want to be in this investing season is a really good question to ask yourself when you're looking at investments through a lens. Because every investment has a hidden time tax. You just have to ask how much you're willing to give it. And that can help put pressure and clarity on if this investment that you're looking at is the right one for you right now.
Love that. You're asking yourself, do I want another job?
Yeah.
Do I want decision fatigue? Do I want operational responsibility? I mean, I tell people, if you're thinking about buying another business, like, is there a capable operator in place? Or are you going to be that capable operator? Because that's a full-time job.
Yeah. Do you want to manage it?
Yeah. Do you want to manage people?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you just want your capital working quietly in the background?
Your return on investment might look different if you're just the money investor versus the operator, right? And the investor.
Yeah.
That's okay. Like if you have clarity around it, right? How quiet or noisy do you want this investment to be?
Well, I've often thought about buying some kind of franchise. I don't know if that's ever been on your thought list.
It's not on my list. I love that for you.
Yeah, well, for some reason. But then I have asked myself this question, if I bought like a Subway or something like that, you're going to have to hire people constantly, right? It's probably constant turnover, I guess. I wouldn't know, but I'm guessing that.
Well, think about your worker wages, right? And what you have to pay in order to be able to keep that business profitable.
Not a lot of opportunity for growth, right? You know what I mean? So, it's kind of like you're paying people, kind of minimum wage or a little bit above minimum wage. And those people are just going to kind of come and go.
Okay. I do have an admission. I had a very long but unrealized obsession with wanting to own car washes. And then we transitioned that to storage units, which we just bought our first ones.
I love it.
Yeah. And we're thinking about the storage game is going to be like a 40-year hold for us. Like it's
I love it.
a long term hold. And we're going to do it in Michigan, right in the mitten. But it will be like a generational play for cash flow on that. But we're thinking about that very long term, to your point. And it's noisy in the first 3 months, what we're discovering, just like a new tenant. But then once you get it set up and keep it affordable, they stay for a long time.
Yeah.
But knowing that is great.
Yeah. So that was question number 4. How involved do you want to be? And then number 5 is, what does enough look like in this next chapter? Sometimes the next move should maximize growth. Sometimes the next move should maximize peace of mind. For instance, building wealth and maintaining wealth are very different skill sets.
Yes.
And at a certain point, when you've built what you want to build, you have to take a step back and say, okay, this could all go away. This could all go away if I don't take steps to maintain what we've built. And, Jay and I, for so many years, were building. And then about 4 years ago, we said, okay, great. Now we need to make sure that we protect what we've built. And so we put a lot of things in. We actually stopped kind of building for 2 years and put things that we spent all of our time that we would have spent growing really with protecting what we own, which is, we hired an amazing lawyer. We got a trust. We put everything that we needed to know into LLCs. And man, that's peace of mind.
Yeah.
That is peace of mind.
Well, you spend so much time building, and one wrong move can just take it all back out. That would be such a bummer. The season we're in right now was we were building equity, and a conversation with our fellow co-host, Tiffany Fikes, was so clarifying for me. Is I said, we're thinking about what we want to do next, and I'm trying to gamify where we're going to go. And she said, well, are you building equity or cash flow? And I was like, I want both. And she's like, it's not always the same. Like, it's usually one or the other. Which do you want?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And so Nick and I had to take a good 3 to 6 months, probably 6 months of asking that question on repeat to each other to get clarity around the next game that we're playing was not the equity game, because I don't want to wait another 20 years. I want cash flow.
Yeah.
And so now we're leveraging the equity that we've built into cash flowing assets to buy our time back and to buy our freedom. We want to maximize our freedom so that work is a joy and a choice, but it's not a necessity every day. And so, asking that question, right, of what does enough look like? What does the next chapter look like? Can be you're buying your freedom.
Such a powerful question.
Yeah.
I mean, when is enough enough?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And if you don't know the answer to that, there are ways to figure that out. There are ways. Actually, I'm about to sit down with 2 of our Empire Circle members and help them figure that out for their families.
I love that.
Really what's my freedom number? What's my FU number for my family? Am I on the right track? Do I feel good about it? Because, I would guess that almost everybody listening to this podcast is probably going to work in one regard or another, but It's so great to have work as a choice. So yeah. Well, I know some of the things that we're doing is we're not trying to make things noisier. We're just kind of using what we've got, just like you said with your storage units. So we recently just tore down an investment property in a great area of Austin. And now in Austin, you can build 3 units on the same lot as one. And that's because Austin, again, is trying to create more affordability, because in that neighborhood right now, those houses are being torn down and, a 4,000 square foot house is being put up. And instead, I'm putting 3, 2,000 square foot houses up.
That's amazing.
And so we're doing that to, almost
to maximize
what we got. So the property was paid off. We pulled the equity out of that property. We're using that to build the 3 units. And our cash flow is going to go up a lot. It's going to go up significantly, which is really exciting.
Do you want to know, I love that I'm waiting till the end to drop this, but the best question I've asked in the last 2 years as we gained clarity that cash flow was the game we were looking to play is every single person I would talk to that I knew was a wealthy person or I knew was a very successful business person, is I would say, what is the highest yielding cash flow investment that you have that you love and why?
I love that.
And I got some amazing responses to that. But if you have clarity with these 5 questions of where you're wanting to focus it allows you to have amazing conversations with people to learn and grow and move to the next level faster. And that's exactly what that did for us. I think it's exactly what it's done for you too.
Yeah, I love that. So the main thing, powerful questions. We talk a lot about powerful questions here on Empire Building, and powerful questions are the key to life, really. And so what are the questions you're asking about your money? Don't put it on autopilot, right? Think about it. Spend some time, whatever season you're in, spend some time thinking about it. And depending on your age and stage, you're asking yourself, where should I be with my money? And these 5 questions will really help you figure that out. So
I love it. Well, thanks for joining us today, you guys. And
yeah,
we hope you go build that big business and that even bigger life with all your investments. Thanks for joining.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who might need some help with their money. And please leave a 5-star rating and review. We love to hear from you. We read every single one. So have a great day, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not Keller Williams Realty LLC and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.